Patriarchal blessings in today's church are blessings given to members by ordained patriarchs, originally called evangelists. The blessings include counsel and a declaration of lineage in the house of Israel. The church keeps a copy of each blessing. But this is not what patriarchal blessings should be or were at the beginning of this dispensation, let alone during ancient times. When Hyrum Smith was reappointed by the Lord to be the new presiding patriarch of the church, he was told that he was to give both blessings and curses, which would be honored in heaven. Now, this statement by the Lord raises several fundamental issues. Currently, members must go to their bishop to obtain a recommend for a patriarchal blessing. According to church policy, only worthy members are given these blessings. But this requirement makes absolutely no sense in the light of the authority of the patriarch to either bless or curse. Why would a person who will be cursed need to be worthy? Of course, modern patriarchs never curse. There was no worthiness requirements in ancient times. The only qualification for receiving a patriarchal blessing was to be a direct descendant of the patriarch giving the blessing. The Lord made it clear that Hyrum was given the key to patriarchal blessings and would hold them from then on. Priesthood keys, as the church acknowledges, are the right of presidency and governing. However, the church also believes that all the keys of the priesthood pertaining to the church were given to the apostles who, in turn, authorized one man, the president of the church, to exercise those keys. Priesthood leaders with geographic and functional jurisdictions are given keys, subordinate to the keys held by the church president. Yet, this is simply not true. As Section 124 makes very clear, the keys over patriarchal blessings was given to Hyrum by lineal right. These keys were not given to Joseph Smith, then church president, or to Brigham Young, or to any of the apostles. Nor could either Joseph or Brigham Young, the president of the 12, give keys they did not have to their successors. When the stake presidents call patriarchs and bishops sign recommends for patriarchal blessings, they do so, as the church claims, under the keyed authority of the president of the church. Yet, this is a false claim. The keys of patriarchal blessings belong to the patriarchal priesthood and are to be passed down by lineage. Hyrum's keys could only be passed down through his direct posterity. Giving blessings and curses have always been within the authority of the patriarchal priesthood. When Jacob gathered his sons to bless them, he did so, but he cursed Reuben, Simeon, and Levi for their misdeeds instead. Jacob's father, Isaac, also gave a blessing and a cursing relative to the birthright of the firstborn son. In preparation for his imminent death, Isaac called his eldest to him and asked Esau to go hunting and prepare savory meat for him, so that Isaac could then bless Esau before he died. When Rebekah heard what Isaac had told Esau, she instructed Jacob to get 2 goat kids so that she could make the savory meat for her husband, Isaac. In this way, Jacob could go to Isaac first and obtain the birthright blessing. Jacob was concerned that Isaac would easily recognize the fraud and curse him instead of bless him. Jacob knew that cursing was within the authority of the patriarchal priesthood as well as blessing. Jacob was able to deceive his father and obtained the birthright blessing. At this point, Esau returned to find that the blessing, rightfully his according to birth, had been given to Jacob. The blessing could not be undone, so Esau was given a lesser blessing. It is not our object here to weigh the pros and cons of obtaining a birthright by stealth. Whatever the morality of Joseph's actions, the blessing given him by Isaac was a direct consequence of Esau selling his birthright earlier for food. He had despised his birthright and no longer merited it. To be clear, the birthright was the right to the patriarchal priesthood given to Abraham and then passed to Isaac. Later, in the famous dream of the ladder reaching to heaven, the Lord blessed Jacob with the same patriarchal priesthood as had been given to Abraham and Isaac. Though Esau had been given a lesser blessing than Jacob, it actually amounted to a curse. Esau and his seed had been denied the patriarchal priesthood due to disobedience. The patriarchal priesthood would pass through Jacob's generations and not his own. This is the priesthood authority with which Jacob later both blessed and cursed his sons. The patriarchal priesthood gives those who hold it the right to both bless and curse their children and their posterity. Blessings and cursings, as we've seen, extend beyond the individual to include the seed. This is the essence of patriarchal priesthood, the rights of inheritance, especially with regard to the birthright of priesthood. Blessings give the right to the firstborn or eldest male to hold and use the patriarchal priesthood, as we saw with Isaac and Hyrum Smith. Cursings can either ban or remove this priesthood birthright, as we saw with Canaan, Esau, and Jacob's eldest sons. Blessings and cursings are both necessary to maintain the orderly regulation of lineal authority and power. Blessings bestow priesthood rights upon those who are obedient, while cursings impose limitations upon those who are disobedient. But to ensure these blessings and cursings are maintained separately through the generations, another mechanism of control is necessary. As we noted earlier, the Canaanites were cursed as to the priesthood. This does not refer to Canaan, the son of Ham, and his seed, but to the people of Canaan, who were cursed much earlier. To be clear, the account in Abraham specifies that the priesthood curse was given to the blood of the Canaanites and not to the blood of Canaan, son of Ham. Furthermore, the curse was preserved through Ham. In other words, the curse existed previous to Ham and his son, Canaan. The curse was preserved through Ham's marriage to Egyptus, whose name signifies forbidden. Pharaoh was the grandson of this Egyptus, being the eldest son of the daughter of Ham and Egyptus, also named Egyptus. The genealogy of the perpetuation of the curse looks like this. Now we do know that the Canaanites were cursed, for the Lord showed the cursing to Enoch in vision. The curse was one of living in a barren land and a blackness of skin, so that the Canaanites would be despised among all people. Though no curse as to priesthood is mentioned in the book of Moses, we learn from the book of Abraham that the Canaanites and their posterity were also cursed as to the priesthood. According to Joseph Smith, this curse had not been removed in his day and would only be removed with the same great power that caused the blackness and barrenness to come in the first place. The modern church claims that this curse has been removed, at least the restriction of priesthood. In an official declaration presented to the October 1978 General Conference, the Brethren extended the blessings of the priesthood and temple to all worthy males. Black members of African descent were now eligible to hold the priesthood. But for the curse to be truly lifted, all aspects of its effects must also be lifted. That is, the curse of black skin, along with the ban on priesthood, must be reversed. This can only be done by the same power that caused the change in skin color in the first place. An official declaration is not sufficient. We know that Cain was cursed for murdering his brother Abel. According to the account in Genesis, Cain was the firstborn son of Adam and Eve and, therefore, eligible for the patriarchal birthright. But due to the murder of his brother Abel, Cain was cursed as to this priesthood. It was Seth who became the rightful heir to the patriarchal birthright. In a revelation to Joseph Smith, the Lord recounted the chain of patriarchs, beginning with Adam and then to Seth. Later, Cain complained to the Lord, saying that he would become a fugitive in the earth and that many would seek his life. Therefore, the Lord put a mark upon Cain to protect him. The type of mark set upon Cain wasn't specified in the book of Genesis, so there has been much speculation about its nature. The church, in fact, has discouraged its members from such speculation. However, the nature of the mark is really not a matter of speculation. The book of Moses explicitly states that the seed of Cain were black. The mark was a racial marker of black skin. The book of Moses also makes it clear that the other seed of Adam did not mingle with the seed of Cain. In its official article on race and the priesthood, the church distances itself from the nexus between the topics of Cain's curse, race, and its restriction on priesthood. While acknowledging that the ban existed, the church lays the rationale for the ban squarely upon the widespread ideas of racial inferiority promulgated in the United States. What the article does not explain is why racial attitudes in the United States dictated church doctrine and why the practice continued for over a century after the abolition of slavery. The Book of Mormon records another example of a curse with a racial marker. The seeds of Laman, Lemuel, and Ishmael, called Lamanites, were cursed with the dark skin due to disobedience. The record does not indicate that this was a priesthood ban. The purpose of the curse and racial marker was so that the seeds could be distinguished. Any intermingling of the seeds would bring the curse upon those seeds which were not previously cursed. Earlier, the prophet Nephi went further, saying that the change in skin color was designed to make the Lamanites loathsome unto the Nephites. He also clarified that the change in color was from white to black, not simply dark. We also learn from the Book of Mormon account that when the seeds which are cursed mingle with those seeds which are not cursed, the curse is passed through that union. From these examples, we can now formulate two general principles concerning priesthood rites, curses, and racial markers. First, the scriptures record three examples where the Lord cursed a lineage and imposed a racial marker of black skin upon that lineage. The marker distinguished the cursed lineage from other lineages in order to discourage racial intermingling. Second, when cursed and non-cursed lineages intermingle, the curse is perpetuated in the offspring of the mingled lineages. This was true with the intermingling of Nephite and Lamanite seeds and the mingling of the seed of Ham with the forbidden seed of Egyptus. The curse and racial marker placed upon the Lamanites was intended to be temporary. As long as the Lamanites persisted in their iniquities, the curse would remain. But if they repented, there was the promise of lifting the curse and removing the marking. In fact, one group of Lamanites who had united with the Nephites and adopted their religion became white and fair like unto the Nephites. They were then numbered among and called Nephites. This fact can be generally expressed as follows. These principles of priesthood governance are not to be construed as racial bigotry or as a bias for such bigotry. Those who are of the cursed lineages can be righteous, and those of the blessed lineages can be wicked. Now we know, for example, that the first Pharaoh, while of the lineage of Canaan and therefore black, was a righteous man in all respects. Conversely, being of a chosen lineage does not ensure personal righteousness. Another monarch, King Noah, a Nephite by birth, was a wicked tyrant, doing that which was abominable in the sight of the Lord. We do not know the reasons for cursed lineages other than the partial reasons given in Scripture. Saying that Canaan, Laman, Lemuel, and Ishmael were cursed for their disobedience does not explain why their posterity must also be cursed. Their descendants had no part in the original transgression of their ancestors, nor, for that matter, do we know the reasoning behind the giving of the priesthood rights or inheritance to certain lineages, such as the Levites. The generations of Levites did not earn these rights, at least during mortality. These blessings were inherited at birth. However, we can be assured that there are reasons and that they are just and kind. Lineages with rights to the priesthood are just another form of jurisdiction, similar to spatial and functional jurisdictions. Priesthood lineages are simply another way that the priesthood is regulated and channeled. Whereas those who hold priesthood within spatial and functional jurisdictions are called and ordained, Those who hold priesthood simply inherit the rights to the priesthood from their parents. We know that priesthood office is bestowed in accordance with the principle of foreordination. That is, all those who hold priesthood office in this world were first selected to do so in the premortal council. Now, this is true for all priesthood assignments, including heads of dispensations and members of the kingdom of God on earth. Member is a priesthood office. Indeed, all assignments relative to this cycle of mortality were given and accepted in that council. This can only mean that those born into specific lineages, both blessed and cursed, were foreordained to do so in the council in heaven. Like all earthly assignments, we knew the reasons for these assignments while in premortality, but have not been given them in mortality. Our memory of these assignments has been suppressed by the veil.